My name is Trudy McLaughlin, and as an art student, I chose the time period I found the art to be the most interesting, the Hellenistic period. The beginning of the Hellenistic period is generally marked by the death of Alexander the Great, which gives the beginning of the art an interesting division. After the empire was divided, the Greek art style spread, but with small variations according to geography of the divisions and with respect to the culture of the people who had been conquered under Alexander's reign. The major defining characteristics of the Hellenistic art style are the evolution of focus from idealism to naturalism, and that includes dramatic posing, sweeping lines, showing movement and emotion along with contrast of light using shadows. They also began to portray subjects not usually seen before, including the elderly, children, and African Americans or other ethnicities. We can see this transition from classical to Hellenistic throughout all mediums of art, including paintings, mosaics, pottery, and sculptures. Although it was rare to find any original paintings from this era simply because they were exposed to the environment, we were able to find funerary paintings on the walls of burial rooms, usually the wealthy, and the paintings proved it so, such as in the picture on the top left, the terracotta funerary wall painting. In the picture on the top left, it depicts a man of high stature and a woman that we presume to be his wife. And what screams Hellenistic about this painting is the natural poses, the depth of the figures, and the boy on the right with the dark complexion, who is most likely a slave. We can also get a good idea of what paintings must have been like back then based on other types of art, such as pottery with painted figures and designs. The classical era was the one that used the red and black figured paintings on pottery. During the Hellenistic, these styles declined and were replaced with a higher contrasting one using a black background with white paint or other bright colors. This was also known as the well-sloped ware style, shown in the picture on the bottom left. Mosaics were an extraordinary work of art during the Hellenistic time period. Mosaics originally using the colorful pebbles from rivers were then switched to tiny squares of stone or glass. A lot of what we have found of mosaic works was due to the use of decorating wealthy houses with them, both on the floors and on the walls. Mosaics have actually helped a lot about learning how their houses functioned along with organization of each room. This mosaic of the great Alexander was found on the floor of the House of the Faun in Pompeii. It was said to have been based off an original painting. I also overlaid it with a close-up image of Alexander's face. You can see the use of emotion, contrast in color, and shadows in this very small section of a large and intricate work of art. Sculptures during this time period of culture came alive. The movements and emotion are incredible. They also picture a lot of the nudity seen in this time period, which tells us that the church's authority was being threatened, with people thinking it was okay to depict these sinful images without any consequences was very interesting. The image on the far left is the winged victory of Samothrace. Even without her head or arms, she displays great movement. You can see the drapery cloth blowing backwards in her motions, and you can see the way her torso muscles are twisting with purpose under the cloth. If you look around her, her legs show intense muscle movement as well. It was said that it depicted the goddess Nike after a victorious battle. The last two sculptures are depicting enemies from the same battle. The middle image is the Galatian suicide, showing the warrior holding the body of his dying wife, who he had stabbed, and him thrusting the sword through his own chest. You can see his cape flowing backwards and the entire muscles in his body showing the incredible sacrifice of the action of thrusting it into his own body. The last images on the far right are the sculpture known as the Dying Gaul, shown with a fatal wound under the ribs, both his posture and his face showing unwillingness to accept death, to accept defeat. This is a sculpture you need to view from all sides from head to toe to truly digest the power and emotion represented within it. Both of the Gaul warriors shown are made to look strong and mighty. By doing so, you can only imagine the power it took to defeat them. The Hellenistic period set a wide example of Greek-influenced art styles which portrayed the human body with emotion and movement never seen before. During the Renaissance, we see the influence brought into light yet again, and several times throughout the history. Many of the stories that we've seen and the history of the culture wouldn't have been made the same without these art styles.